mind you, even within the party, we've seen two different results.
Yeah. I like the fact that this happened to the glory of everybody. I like the fact that the primaries, and just for the record, the inconsistencies in the results wasn't just with the APC. We've also seen it with the states. We've seen stories about the NDC also in other states. In PDP, for example, there are two factions producing two different aspirants, candidates for the party. But why this is interesting is that it gives us a clearer picture of where we stand. If we all thought at some point that democracy, what we call democracy, is standing on 2 foot, now we realize that it isn't. I probably say there's one leg and that one leg is shaking. If the APC, which is supposed to be the ruling party, and are supposed to be the torch bearers, the ones to blaze the trails for what democracy should look like, if the internal system is this flawed, like I asked, what happens to us going forward? But I think these are the questions we need to ask. And it also bears more, what's a better word? It makes us, as the every Nigerian, wonder, how did we get here? How did we go from saying our democracy was progressive to get to the point where it feels like even the simplest thing of getting an aspirant and a cardboy for a party is smeared with a lot of controversies?
On the papers this morning, we saw a lot of things from the president. We won't allow, I think, let me take this from the Daily Monitor that says, we won't allow opposition to drag Nigeria back. Tinubu vows. He did not just speak, he vowed, according to the paper. We won't allow opposition to drag Nigeria back. This actually for opposition might mean a whole lot. But let's not push away the fact that the ADC today will be having their presidential primaries, and 3 people will be contesting, 3 individuals will be contesting. Heavyweight Mohammed Ayatudin will be one of the contestants. Rotimi Amechi, former governor of Rivers State, and of course former minister of transportation. Not to forget also, Amechi came second behind Tinubu back then in the APC. So, yes, which makes him look like if I could actually beat the vice president then and come second, against Buhari, against Tinubu, I mean, why not Atiku? Yeah, Atiku shouldn't be a problem for me. Now, Atiku, I actually saw him. I saw a video where Amechi angrily walked out of somewhere, according to, ESA, according to a lot of people making a lot of noise on social media. He said he walked out of a meeting which he disagreed to be a consensus candidate. He said he should be open. But I wonder why the ADC did not zone theirs to the south like every other person has done. You understand? Remember that was what caused the issue in the PDP.
Yes.
That's why the PDP is where it is today.
True.
And of course, we don't know if Amechi will have the spirit of Wike to make things worse or he lets go. Who knows?
What does spirit of Wike mean?
No, like they never give up. They never say die spirits of Wike. They never say die. He never gives up. That's just the truth. Now for Mohammed Ayatudin, some people are already saying this guy is not part of the contest, but he's just there. Probably
like
of course, probably to reduce, votes for one of these persons. But at the end of the day, we'll wait to see who picks up the ticket. But the president made a clear statement. I think let's take a listen to what the president said.
Don't let us give into complacency by allowing politicians with no clear alternative vision to take our country backwards. We no go great.
Well, that was the president. He said it clearly. We no go agree. Like, no matter what happens.
He is a politician first before he's a Democrat.
Yes.
And I remember when he won the election in 2023. And my first thought was, again, going by what happened before the election, during the election, and all whatnot. And I raised the question about the president's democratic ideals. Remember, he had spoken heavily about how he's a Democrat, how he was part of the Nadeko group, that fought for democracy. And when you look at the things that happened prior to the 2023 elections and how the election panned out, one would have questioned his democratic ideals. Now, this statement is a statement of politician because, like he said, we will not let people that do not have any idea on how to lead the country, to lead us. And my question is, why would you think these persons cannot lead the country? The only experience you had prior to being the president was being the governor of Lagos State and also being a senator. you have guys like what's his name, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who have been vice president of this country. You have guys like Peter Obi, who have been governors of the governor of a state before. So these are persons who have track records. Some can even argue better track records than you in leading political positions. Why you only had two of that? But again, like I said before, he's a politician, and as a politician, your first job is to speak strongly and speak against whatever opposition you need to have. And boy, I love it when the president speaks like this. I think this side of the president comes up when it's election time. He has a stronger voice. He seems to know what to say to inspire his followers. But it's good to hear him speak. And for the election that happened, the APC presidential primaries, that guy should just see the 100 million. I do not know what he went to buy that form for, but I guess he has his plans, and later we'll know what those plans are.
Do you know if it was just to make it look like there was a contest?
Yeah, because the president said that he has gotten his money back. I don't know what that means, but obviously has, somehow.
All right. Well, it's quite shocking. From the 12.6 million that registered in the APC, we saw 10.9 million participated in, almost 11 million participated in the APC primaries. So let's just say averagely 1.6 million did not participate. Well, miraculous to say that President Tinubu pulled 10.9 million votes, against 16,000, right? 16,000 of his opponents. And
why is it miraculous, Richard?
It's miraculous because he won with 8 million votes in 2023.
Yes.
So if
In
a political party will give you 10.9 million,
It
having 12.6 million registered voters.
It means that everybody in the party, almost everybody came out to vote.
That's
how much they love the president.
And how much they love the party.
That's exactly. You see, I think things like this just shows the popularity of Mr. President. He has done so well that people in his party could not stay in their houses and not vote for him.
Yes.
The same persons who went to vote in the House of Reps and Senates and were disenfranchised, some would say, they still came up with the president.
But this sends a strong message to the opposition. If you don't come out to vote, APC already have 10.9 million for the president.
By that alone, the president has won.
Automatically.
Hey, that's true.
Well, I'm not the best person to talk about this. We have with us the first indigenous senior advocate of Nigeria from the Plateau. A man actually who has shown how much he loves the country and, of course, the state. He was conferred the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria before 2003. And beside that, again, we've seen so much from him, his works. And, of course, he's not just a senior advocate, he's also a politician. He was part of the race of the gubernatorial primaries that took place in the APC in 2022 that brought Professor Nentawe Yilwada as a candidate of the party. I'm talking about not that person, but Chief Garuba Shamtulpur, SAN. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, listeners.
Good morning, sir.
It's a pleasure to have you in the studio, sir.
My pleasure.
Yeah, you've heard everything we've said politically and how Nigeria as a state is at the moment. 10.99 million votes. Are you surprised that President Tinubu could actually accumulate such figure in the primaries, party primaries?
Well, if we judge by the votes in 2023, it will be a huge surprise. But if you assume that political awareness is on the growth, and perhaps those who were full of apathy in 2023 have now been educated and mobilized, and they are more sensitive, they could come out en masse to vote and give nearly 12 million to the incumbent president in the primaries. However, knowing what Nigeria is and knowing what we see as the accounting people, we definitely will have your doubts that such a thing was possible. But don't forget, every nation produces the kind of democracy it deserves. If the nation is deceptive, you can't get a president that's above your level of deception. If the society is sincere, honest, and courageous, then nobody can deceive you. So at the end of the day, these people that went out to vote in the primaries are those that should come out to say whether these figures are right or wrong, because they participated. But if you cannot come out to tell the truth about your situation, then, as it is said in Christian marriage, seal your mouth forever. Because you tolerated it, you allowed it. I don't see how votes will go from ward to ward and give nearly 12 million votes as if there was 100% compliance, and those in the wards have not said no, it didn't happen. And the opposition, the person who contested against him, is also not complaining. So at the end of the day, who is supposed to complain? If this is a democracy we deserve, then we have to live with it. As you lay your bed, so you lie on it.
You spoke about how the people get the kind of democracy they deserve. Given how we are as a people and the struggles we've had with democracy, would we say that, first off, we've made progress democratically, and secondly, is this the best as a society we can produce?
Speaking for myself, it appears that the cradle, the crescent of our democracy in this dispensation was the moment we took over from the military, when Obasanjo became president. After that, it appears we have been progressing instead of making progress. In those days, you would find people in different parties, and we were really three, challenging the incumbent president, challenging the party in power, and it got on and on until finally Jonathan Goodluck, an incumbent president, was defeated when he was contesting. But after that, it appears the more people are in power, the more they use the power to sustain themselves in power, and so democracy seems to be retrogressing and is suffering. Therefore, I would say from 1999 to now, as far as democratic theories are concerned, we haven't made appreciable progress.
Okay, Richard.
Okay. Now let's look at what exactly it is now. I think I should come back to the plateau. We've seen the APC primaries, and we've seen, if I'm not mistaken, the House of Reps primaries that took place.
No.
Okay, you were not. Okay, are you part of?
I only voted in the House of Reps primaries.
Okay, you voted. Now let's look at what exactly we've seen. Two different results. From some particular federal constituency. PKK, let me just put it out, PKK, to be precise. It's still a bone of contention. People felt at some point money was passed. That's the thoughts of some individuals. And some individuals believe, no, this was the right thing. But again, some people are saying, from what we've agreed as a dialogue, though not constitutional, you cannot go 3 times. What's your thoughts on the whole thing about PKK and the primaries?
First, it's something that is open to the entire public. Nobody can change the facts. The primaries took place for Panshin Kanke Kana. That's what they call PKK.
Yes.
Word of an abbreviation. And the party conducted the primaries. At the end of the day, the zonal chairman of the party in North Central, Plateau Central, read out the results to the hearing of everybody. Then a few hours after that, we were told that he had no right to read out the results. The question is whether what he read was right or wrong is the most important question, not whether he was the right person to read the results.
Okay.
So I would have thought that somebody should tell us that no, the result he read were not correct, even if he was the right person to read them, that the results are actually this, not what he read. But what came out was that the person reading the result had no mandate to read the result. And so a different entity would read out the results. And there's such a drastic change. So it leaves room for some doubt. Besides, in our democracy, we shouldn't be making the rules as we are playing the game. If it was part of the rule that nobody should read that result except people from Abuja, then they should have been told even before the primary started. But having started and conducted and concluded, then it's difficult to know whether that was the correct rule. But at the end of the day, the people concerned, as I said, those that should complain are not complaining. The person who was said to be the winner, but later was told that he wasn't the winner, has accepted it.
Has he accepted it? Because I remember he made a Facebook post that said that the first result was democracy, the second result was political. That doesn't sound like acceptance to me.
There are rules for grievance resolution. If he's still participating in addressing his grievance through the party, and more like an interest discussion, just like what we are doing. But the agreed party certainly has remedies. And so within the party, you are entitled to exhaust your remedy. Outside the party, you are entitled to go to court as well and challenge under Section 82 or so of the Constitution. Now, back to what happened. At the end of the day, the primaries are a precursor of what will happen in the general election. And the people are watching. If the primaries are supposed to give you a preview of what will happen in the general election, then every party must be careful. So as a result of how you conduct the primaries, you don't create disenchantment. Because sometimes you have what politicians refer to as protest votes. And protest votes are those who are dissatisfied with the way you conducted your primaries and are voting against their own candidate. So I think the lesson is for the parties to be as open, as transparent as possible during the primary so that they can keep their support intact and develop on it, advance on it, add to it in the general election. If by your conduct you disenchant your own supporters, then at the end of the day, the repercussion will reflect in the general election, assuming the general election will be free, fair, and transparent.
With regards to the APC and the primaries, let's take Plateau States.
Yes.
Is there a case for those who lost or those who failed disenfranchised? For example, you talked about PKK in the Senate in the Northern Zone. There has been those who feel disenfranchised. Is there a case for them in the civil court, or it has to be resolved within the party? Because the INEC rule says that for these persons to have a case in the civil court, it means that the process was done outside of the electoral rules. From your standpoint as a legal mind, is there a case for them in the civil court for them to challenge the results of these elections, primaries, in the civil court?
There are two levels. The number one level is within the party. The person who is aggrieved can appeal within hours, 48 hours or so. Then the appeal panel will give a decision. After that, a person who is aggrieved is entitled to go to the Federal High Court and challenge the result of the primaries. There are riders. Before you do that, you must have participated in the primaries.
Okay.
Before you do that, the primaries you are challenging must have been the one conducted by the authentic leadership of the party, not the faction. And so, quite a number have been able to challenge the primaries. I think in Taraba, Jim Kuta went to court and succeeded in obtaining the result of the primaries in his party, and today he's in the Senate. There are quite a number of examples like that. The law allows you to go to Federal High Court and challenge the primaries if you participated in it. So there's room for you, and it has happened, and many have gone to the Federal High Court and redeemed their mandate where they participated, and they can show that they actually succeeded. Don't forget that Amechi became governor of Rivers State.
Yes.
Because the primaries, he relied on it. He never contested the election. He came back to show that in the primaries, I ought to have been the candidate. And the Supreme Court gave it to him. So it is the courage that you need to go to court and challenge the primaries.
All right. You're an elite politician. There's something that's been flying as a rumor. I want to know from you. Maybe you are not part of the committee, but I know you are close to those who are actually at top wigs in the APC. I know you're still a member of the APC.
Yeah.
How true was it that a list was sent from Abuja that these are the candidates we want to actually win the primaries? How true?
As you say, thank God, rumors are rumors, facts are facts. It is true that Abuja naturally may have preference, but at the end of the day, preference or no preference, the result of those who are on ground is what should hold the day. Even in the days of Shagari, for instance, he had his preference for secretary of the party, who was then Suleiman Takuman from Mina. But Uba Ahmed had the support of the majority of the people. And at the end of the day, Shagari said, this is democracy. Even me as president, I can't impose my will. But there's this thing that we need to be educated about. The people who have the votes do not realize the power they have in the votes they carry. So somebody can say, look, we have been told in Abuja that it is such a person we want. And instead of the voters saying, but we don't want, they just feel like Abuja has said it. What can we do? So you are defeating yourself. The power of the votes you carry is supposed to be the supreme power. Therefore, you say, oh, this man said in Abuja we want Mr. B. You can say, well, that is Abuja. But we in Riom or we in Kanche, we want Mr. Z.
Now, in today's democracy, you've made mention of the Shagari era. Yeah. But in today's democracy, looking at it clearly, do you think the people's mandates actually counts? Let's take a look at what has happened over time. Where we've seen judges, National Assembly members, we've seen military, with their band sang "On your mandate we shall stand." We've seen governors said they are being lured to join the APC. Governors have mentioned that they've been lured. Do you think if a list comes from Abuja, whatever the people decide, do you think it still matters in today's democracy?
I agree with you that so many things have changed. And that's why I said our democracy is retrogressing rather than progressing. But if we must progress, the starting point will be the power of the voter. Don't forget that power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. He will not lightly say, oh, come and take. Therefore, the power to say no is in the voter. But if the voter is waiting for somebody to dictate to him from Abuja or from government house, if the voter is waiting for somebody to say, we have brought 3 million, go and share, and that's sufficient for you, then the power of the voter can never sail through. And if it does not matter, then our democracy doesn't matter.
Does the power of the, so just cut short there, sir. You talked about the power of the voters. Another example is PKK. When the first result, according to the man that lost, came out, there were lots of chants on social media. People were excited. Oh, finally, it's a breath of fresh air. Somebody new. It felt at that point like the voters' power finally came to bear. And then a few hours later or a day after, it changed. If that, by that example, it means that no matter what the voters do, if the powers that be do not want a certain person, the voters do not have as much power to change or to elect people they want into positions.
And that is where the law comes in to assist.
How?
As I said, with the results, if you are certain that you have the result authentic, you are at liberty to approach the court and say, this is the result of the primaries. And I give you an example of Amechi. And there are several other examples like that. But once you can show that this is what happened at the primaries, pursue your victory, pursue your goal to the highest level. And I believe that, yes, the courts are no longer what they used to be, but there are some exceptions that will still find that are genuinely standing on what the law says. But
so we are going to be picking a needle in a haystack. That is what you're saying. Because like you mentioned, if the judiciary is not as dependable as it used to be before, it means that the belief and the trust the people have in that system is waned. If the trust is waned, it means we are just going to be shooting blanks and hoping that one of these many appeals, one of these many cases to take to court, one of them will be in the right judgment and in favor of us.
The judiciary also tries to prune itself. If you read the Supreme Court judgment in Nantawe and Mutfang,
yes,
it castigated what the Court of Appeal did in the National Assembly and the House of Assembly judgments. And so it means that the judiciary itself is going to make, is making effort to live above board. The criticism that the public is always showering and the invectives that they are throwing on the judiciary is making impact. And that's why you can see, for instance, the judgment of the Federal High Court is virtually a judgment against INEC. Ordinarily, courts that are not courageous will hardly want to dismantle what the government agency, especially as important as INEC.
Sure.
So courageous judges are beginning to realize that, no, we cannot continue to smear the name of the judiciary by towing the line of government or the line of politicians. So, but the more you keep hitting the courts with cases that are so obvious, the more there's a possibility of a positive change.
Okay. All right. Now, I just want to ask you a question about Plateau politics. From 1999 till date, has it been progressive or retrogressive? Plateau politics in general, just Plateau.
Yeah, just Plateau.
Have we succeeded? From 1999, or you think we've gone backward? Let's be honest.
Yeah. If you are thinking of politics in terms of election, I would say Plateau State has been an example of progressive development. I say this because so far in Plateau State, no governor has been able, after his 2 tenures, to pass on the baton to somebody in his own party. Which means Daria, for instance, did not succeed in giving his successor in the same party. He was defeated by the party led by Jan. Jan, powerful as he was, loved as he was by the people, charismatic as he was, could not pass the baton to JNS Pajok
of blessed memory.
They were in the same party. They were roundly defeated. To me, have been progressive, have been agile in elections. But whether political development, progress by the leadership has been what one would say progressive is another matter. But as far as the voters are concerned, I salute them. I stand with them, but they've been able to vote people in power who want to impose a successor.
All right, let's talk about INEC now and the Federal High Court judgment. On Thursday, 22nd of May, we saw a new judgment that made Nigerians, was it 21st of May, sorry, that actually made Nigerians, stood confused about INEC register, section 77 of that very one, which actually states, from the sections there, I think we have about 5 clauses there. And one of them is INEC's power to set timelines. And again, on the 120 deadline for candidate submission, 120-day deadline for candidate submission, on candidates withdrawal, stroke replacements, on publication of final list and campaigns, on membership registers. These are some key points there. Now, for Justice Umar, who actually placed a judgment, he said the Electoral Act 2026 as amended does not give INEC the power to streamline the dates of candidacy, or neither should it streamline the register of political parties, and therefore that is a legislative function and not a function of INEC. INEC is an umpire and not to serve as legislators, and the courts now shifted to September. Do you think that was actually something worthy of in today's democracy?
Well, the judgment of Justice M.G. Umar, the Federal High Court, was as a result of the fact that the court was approached.
Yeah, you may use the mic, sir.
Sorry, the court was approached by
Youth Party.
Youth Party for the interpretation of certain sections of the Electoral Act vis-a-vis the guidelines issued by INEC. Now, they are dealing specifically with Section 29 of the Electoral Act 2026, Section 82, Section 84, Sub 1. Now, these sections deal with timelines. There is a hierarchy of the strength of laws. The biggest, the strongest, the pyramid, the foundational is the Constitution. All other laws must be built upon the Constitution. They must be supported with the Constitution. That's why the Constitution itself says in Section 1, Subsection 3, if any law is in conflict with the provision of this Constitution, such a law is automatically voided to the extent that it is inconsistent with the provision of the Constitution. Now, after the Constitution, the next in strength is an enactment of the National Assembly, what we call a statute, an act. Now, the Electoral Act is an act of the National Assembly, which means the hierarchy of laws, it is next to the Constitution. The third level of laws or organization is what we call bylaws. These are rules and regulations made by bodies that are enacted, established by law or the Constitution, such as INEC. Now, if the law of the National Assembly conflicts with the Constitution, it must be struck down. So if the regulation conflicts with the position of an act by the National Assembly, then the rules or guidelines or regulation must give way
for the National Assembly.
For the National Assembly enactment.
Yeah.
Now, INEC timelines. The position of the judge is that no rule, no guideline, no regulation can be in conflict with the provisions of the Act. And so if the National Assembly has given you up to 120 days to submit the names of your candidates and their particulars, by a regulation, you can't override that. You can't give a law that is in conflict with that. You can't reduce from it. You can't derogate from it. And what INEC tried to do in order to achieve speedy election, speedy compliance, was to reduce these timelines. And so your party said, no, you are reducing what an act of the National Assembly has given us. You cannot by regulation subtract from it or even do anything to the contrary. And so they went to court, and the judge agreed with them that, look, if the act has given them up to 120 days to submit certain things, do not reduce from it. If it has given them up to 90 days to replace, withdrawal and replacement, do not subtract from it. And so if it has given them up to 60 days to publish the list of candidates, you should not reduce from it. And for me, it makes sense, especially when you bear in mind that this act was enacted and signed into law on the 18th of February. And it came into force on the 19th of February. And some of the timelines were finished before 10th of May. So between 19th of February and 10th of May, it's less than 3 months. So when would the political parties have studied the situation and even started to make arrangements to comply? That's number one. Number two, generally when people are used to a system, psychologically they resist change, especially when the change appears to be irksome appears to take away from what they are used to, appears to make it very inconvenient for them. And so they went to say, no, these timelines are not in keeping with our democracy. And most of the parties complain that this is too sudden. Some even believe that it was an arrangement by the party in power to make it impossible for those lesser parties to be able to comply. So the court, being an objective institution, looked at it and gave its interpretation. No, stick by the timelines in the act. But that is one view. Another view could well be that as long as the INEC enactment did not say nothing can be derogated from these timelines, don't do anything contrary to it, don't even legislate on it, then of course you have a problem there. So some people will say, no, INEC can give regulations that will enhance, and make it more convenient to achieve these timelines. But the judge has given a judgment. INEC says it's stating a judgment. For now, the political parties are to go back to what they are used to under the INEC Act.
I have two questions. The first one is, like you've said, based on the hierarchy of the laws, the INEC bylaws or the INEC bylaws do not supersede that of the electoral laws. But INEC has also come out to say they are looking at the judgment and they are assessing it. Do they have a chance in the appeal court for these judgments to be turned? Second question is, why did we have to wait this long for this to be questioned? Because, like you said, this happened in March. We had March, April, right, to have questioned this. Why did the opposition parties not take this to court earlier? Some would argue that this is happening because many political strongholds in the APC have lost their elections, and now they're looking for loopholes in the system to get back either into opposition parties to get tickets or find a way to remove themselves from the APC. Why didn't they do this earlier? And secondly, does INEC have a chance in the appeal court to win this?
Now let me deal with the second question first. As INEC itself has said, to studying the judgment. No professional lawyer will, without studying the judgment, tell you INEC has a chance or INEC doesn't have a chance. So the first thing you do is to study the judgment, because what you have is a conclusion of the judge. For you to know whether the conclusion can be challenged successfully or not, you have to study the arguments on both sides.
Okay.
You have to study the instruments that were submitted to the judge, who looked at the two and say, I agree with this. So you have to look at the two again and say, oh, I think the judge was right, or I think there's a loophole. Number two, when a matter is likely to be before the court, even journalists are familiar with the term sub judice.
Yeah.
Do not preempt, do not bamboozle the court into thinking this is what the public is already thinking. So allow the court to make the pronouncement first. But one thing I can say is that INEC, like any other party that is aggrieved, has a right to appeal. Whether it will succeed or not is a different thing. Now to your second question, why did they wait
This long.
this long? We can't say whether it's the politicians in APC.
The youth party, like, sorry to cut you short there,
Yeah.
sir. There are stories that even the person that took this case, the youth party,
No.
is not a
member.
high-ranking member of the youth party. So,
Even
Funny
if
enough, the national leader, I think I saw a news this morning where the national leadership of the youth
say we
party
didn't do this.
Yeah,
said we
right.
didn't. And funny enough, guess what?
What?
They had their national election yesterday. of
They
the youth
complied.
party.
So,
So how do you expect them
it
to
raises
do?
a lot of questions as to why it's happening now.
My answer is, number one, the first thing is that I'm sure they will have tried to see whether they could comply and enjoy the benefit of it.
Yes.
Then when they discovered that they couldn't, naturally, people don't give up easily. Is there a leeway out for me? And then maybe they feel, oh, we can go to youth party and take advantage of it. Secondly, if you are challenging any act of the government, you have 3 months within which to do so.
Mm.
And if the Electoral Act was passed into law on the 18th and took effect on the 19th of February, it means you have 3 months from, minimum 3 months from 19th of February to challenge it. And they've done so within 3 months. So legally, they've acted properly. And legally, you can't fault them. And don't forget that the judgment was given on 20th of May. The case wasn't filed on 20th of May. It took some weeks. So they
All right.
acted within the time permitted by law.
All right. I think at this point, let's take a listen to the listeners. They've been following up this conversation from now. I mean, from the early beginning. You can also leave a comment with us on our Facebook page. We're also live on Facebook. Yeah, we are live on Facebook. You can get to watch us at GFM Live, and of course, follow us in the studio. How this conversation is ongoing on X. Also, you can do also follow us on X at GFM Live too. Not to forget our YouTube page at JTV. Also, we are there for you. Well, drop your comments with us. We can't take every call, but of course, we'll take a few, and of course, read out your comments as much as we can. Yeah, but probably from the comments, it might be easier. Let's take a few calls. Right, you have the floor.
My brother, you see, people talk much about the APC primaries, particularly the one of that pension, or that Yusuf Gardi site. But if I are going to ask this question, you as a journalist, and many people have said it, when you call Just East, they will tell you there was no primaries. When you call Just No, they will tell you there was no primaries. When you call Basa, they will tell you there was no primaries. And all we have is that even consensus that there was no any consensus, but the choosing one. So if Yusuf Gardion will be the same thing with that, so why people complaining? So me, I'm just looking at APC as really, really shameless, because we think that they will do transparent so that all of us will just agree with them. Yes.
On Saturday, I don't know, Saturday, which the incumbent president, Ashwadi Bola Tinubu, His Excellency, GCFR emerges as the winner with Bola Tinubu, His Excellency, GCFR emerges as the winner with a 10.9 vote. If I'm not mistaken.
10.99 million.
Okay, 10.99 million votes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much for the correction. 10.99 million votes. Sir, as a layman that I am, I've asked this question before, and I don't know if your case can be able to give us an answer and break it down for me. For a layman like me, and other listeners to be able to understand how it works. In 2023, the number of votes that bring in the president, Ashwadi Bola Tinubu, to become the president of Nigeria was about less than 9 million votes. Today, and where Nigerians, every other Nigerian voted from the 36 states of this country was the FCT. Less than 9 million votes brought him into power to become the president of Nigeria. And now, just the APC primaries, we're having over close to 11 million votes, sir. Please, how does this work? Truly, how does it work? Because sometimes, when I say something the way it is in my mind, it will be as if that I'm antagonizing this particular APC. But even from the last caller that I just mentioned now, APC is a party that is full of impunity. People that can never want to do this right. People that have decided to destroy democracy in this country. Because my calculation have not really served me right. That is why I needed the help. How can 30 primaries produce almost 11 million votes? Meanwhile, the number of votes that brought you to power is less than 9 million votes. How does it really work? Honestly, because if you don't be...
Hello, Benedict. Are you there?
Okay.
Hello, Benedict.
I think I have network.
The network. Well, it's so sad that we were looking for e-voting. or was it e-transmission?
E-transmission.
With such networks, Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Your name and location?
Yeah. My name is Sadiq Umar. I'm calling from TT&T Junction.
All right. Welcome to Sadiq Umar.
Yeah, I will comment your guest. You have spoken very, very well. And you see, it is very, very unfortunate what's happening in almost all the primaries that is happening in Nigeria, especially in the political parties. You see, everybody was putting his consideration on the ruling party, which is the APC, because I think the primaries of the APC should be a litmus test of the general election. That is when the Nigeria will trust APC that they are going to run a free and fair election. But you see, with what happened in the APC, it's very, very unfair. Benedict have raised a very, very serious question. How can the president win with almost 10-point-something million votes, while in the general election, the vote that brings him is not even up to 7 million? So what are we saying? What are we predicting?
It's more than Sadiq Umar, sorry, point of correction, is more than 7 million. It's 8-point-something million.
So 8 point, something million, but it's
Yes.
not up to the.
It's not up to
votes
9 million.
That he have yes, it's not up to the 10.9 million that they have get in the primary.
Yes.
But let's look at the government. Let's look at the policy. Are the people happy with it, or is the president fulfill all the promise that he have made when he have come to power? He have made a lot of promise which every Nigerian have known, but till now, none of the promise can stand to be corrected. But I have not seen any promise that the president have made when removing fuel subsidy have been fulfilled. And people are crying. I wonder, is it the people that bought the opposition, are they jumping from one place to another based on their own personal interest? That is why I agree with your guest. This opposition are not with Nigerians, because if truly they are Nigerians, they can sacrifice their interest party and will join to a party with this kind of division. They have just give a walkover to the president. But the citizens should stand still to make sure that they have stand for their vote, they come out to vote, and they vote for the right candidates. We need a division of democracy. Nigeria is not working. Let's look at the case that is happening. Economy is not going on. Education is not moving.
All right.
It's not moving. So what are we saying?
All right.
Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you so much. Well, these are the basic problems of Nigerians. He just listed. Of 8.7 million votes, 8,794,726 votes in the last election. Atiku Abubakar, who came second from the PDP back then, was 6,984,520 votes. While Peter Obi of the Labour Party as of 2023, got 6.1 million. That's 6,101,533. Now, what you should be asking yourself is there more political awareness in the society today, or probably in the ADC, even in Plateau State, it was mentioned that about 6 local governments did not have elections at all take place. Honorable Dakur, who actually happens to be one of those who contested for the gubernatorial race, they said that's just the fact. Again, the PDP on the other side have their own to say. We saw Sunday Biggs stepping down yesterday. The week of yesterday, we saw that. And the PDP, one faction had its gubernatorial election yesterday. The other one is waiting for Thursday 28 to have its own. What a beautiful party. Let's take more calls, Emeka. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, English.
Good morning. Welcome. Your voice is quite low. Can you please speak to us louder?
JT Konwoshi.
All right, JT.
And the citizens are hopeless.
That's your point of view. That's a point of view, not the general point of view.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Yes. So let me tell you, the citizens are hopeless. Even when we decided to give NDC this election, you understand what I'm saying, and they win the election, you think as if when the sitting president read the election, you think as if there's anything that Nigerians can do about it?
Well, don't be so sure.
Yeah?
Don't be so sure.
Forget it. There's nothing Nigerians can do about it. Absolutely nothing. 1 billion %. There's absolutely nothing Nigerians can do about it. You think I will just carry myself and sweat in the sun, like in last election. I sweat from my head to my toe. My boxer, my trouser, with everything sweat. At the end of the day, they will wake up and tell me that Tinubu won. How? Eh? Did Tinubu win Abuja? Did you win Abuja? According to the law, you must win Abuja. Did you win?
All right.
We should stop deceiving ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, I think this is actually a past now something. This is just it now. Talking about politics as it works. I know if we keep getting angry like this, there will be voter apathy. And what voter apathy does is it gives room for whoever to actually fill in that lap.
I understand him. Like you said, nature abhors a vacuum. But there is a certain kind of pain you feel when you go through the ringer, when you go through the pain and the stress of going to vote, when you've seen people, friends and families, mobilize them, spend your time, spend your money to mobilize people to come vote, and at the end of the day, it feels like your vote does not count.
Emeka, let me tell you
understand
something.
that pain. I do.
93 million Nigerians registered under INEC. In 2023 alone, what INEC had, people that came out to vote, the turnout of voters were 24 million. Do you know what that emanates as?
Less than half.
26.71%
Of
voted.
registered voters.
Yes, voted in the last election. It means there was serious voter apathy. problems at this point. Because if you don't come out to vote because you're angry, your anger will not feed you for 4 years. Let's be real. Let's take comments.
Let's go to Facebook quickly. We've got some interesting comments here. God, my network is acting a bit slow. While I try to load that one, my apologies, guys. My network is network that we're supposed to use to transmit results energetically is not fast today.
Probably will not use your network, though. Probably will not use it. Before we get to get the final words from our guest, how can the presidential primaries alone produce 10.99 million votes when in 2023 the president won with 8 million plus? Please, can someone explain this to me? That's coming from Agon John Monday. Nanle Shiktu. Good morning, Richard and Emeka. INEC must operate within the ambit of the law as an electoral umpire, not as a lawmaker. Political parties must also strengthen internal democracy because unfair primaries weaken public trust and threaten good governance. Certainly 11 million votes, just a primary election that involves only his party men. Then come to think of how many votes does Mr. President won his election as declared by INEC in 2023, won with just 8 million votes. While we also see Victor Barjay, politics in Nigeria is expected to promote democratic activities with fairness, accountability, and transparency. However, the reverse is the case. So let's get your final take on from all of these opinions gathered.
Well, listeners, it is unfortunate that so far, from the few comments we received, the tendency of most Nigerian voters is that of apathy because they do not believe that their vote must come out positively to see that we can make a difference because it is our country. We keep saying Nigeria is not working, Nigeria is not working, Nigeria is not secure, but we don't have another country. So we have to make the best out of the worst situation.
Emeka.
My final words, like I always say, forgive your oppressors if you must, but do not forget what they've done to you.
All right, well, if you keep getting angry, destroying your PVC cards, you're still keeping yourself in the same problem. Nobody will count from 99 to 1,000. Or nobody will tell us 3,900 plus 10 equals 4,000. Right, my name is Richard Badung. As champions of England, good morning again. And enjoy the rest of the day.
Wow.
Attention, please. We've switched to what radio means. This is a whole new experience. Radio, more urban and relating.
101.9 now comes with a code inside in the Nescafe Next Level promo. Just text the code to *7022# and you could win 500,000 naira cash, business tools, and training. Up to 1 million naira in prizes to be.
What do you mix? Why Shackles? The convergence.
We know you love Jay. And we love Jay too. Your favorite station. All new Jay. 101.9 FM.
Now who go there by your side if you walk out through fire?
Licity in latest attacks.
Fearless reportage.
I've never been involved in any